Welcome, bienvenidos. Gracias por la atención. Welcome, everyone. I am very excited to celebrate the fact that 2025 is officially the 50th anniversary of the Victim Services Division here at the Pima County Attorney's Office. 50 years. Where did we begin? Fascinatingly, I will tell you all that the modern system of the criminal justice system, I'll remind us all, was still in its beginning stages. If you can believe it, Miranda, as in the Miranda warnings, had just come in the 1950s. A decade later, a man named Gideon proved to the nation that probably people accused of crime should have legal help instead of representing themselves. And all of that was trickling along and trying to figure out funding and how to set up a system that was fair. And on the heels of that, in the early 70s, a question started to come out, which was, what about the victims? And that started to be repeated over and over again. But what about the victims? Of course, the constitutional rights, due process protections for people accused of committing harm was foundational. But what rules, what guidance, what support were we offering in an organized way to those who had suffered harm? And with extraordinary gratitude, I will say that a very, very young man was the Pima County attorney in the early 70s. His name was Dennis DeConcini. His name is Dennis DeConcini. And as the Pima County attorney, he continued to ask the question and then he answered it. I think he took an extraordinary leap of faith, and it was courageous to decide to dedicate $48,000 out of his general fund here at the Pima County Attorney's Office to launch what would become the Victim Services Division. And I will say that we looked it up. $48,000 in 1974 was a fortune. And it was brave to do that, and it was correct to value the way in which we needed to meet the needs of those who had been harmed in our community. Following that bold move by then Pima County Attorney Dennis DeConcini, who would become Senator Dennis DeConcini, following that brave move led to so much in Arizona. The Arizona's Victim Bill of Rights became a model for the nation. The crisis response system that was built here became a model for the entire nation. Later in time, we will see that our division became trained on how to deal with mass casualty events, as that unfortunately became a thing in America. I'll pause here to let you know that this entire huge room, it's most of the first floor, it's a corner of the first floor of our building, right now is a treasure trove. It is an archive of all of the things that I'm highlighting through the 50 years here. And I want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, Suti Revere, Tony Gallego, and of course our comms director, Chandrea Thomas, for creating this incredible treasure. And we'll get some footage of that in just a moment. But these are some of the highlights of what rolled out throughout the 50 years. And there's lowlights. Let's be honest, in anything historic like this, there are also low points. And I'll come back for a moment briefly to that question of mass casualty, mass shooting events. This division was trained up to handle anything that might happen here, but not only that, to travel to other locations across the country to provide immediate emergency care to survivors of mass shootings. I'll reference just one, which was a music festival in Las Vegas, if that rings a bell. Our own people went to help with that. And I'll tell you that when I arrived in 2021, at the height of COVID, I had to shut that down because unfortunately, by sending our people out to other cities, we couldn't continue to serve the capacity here. And so I will mention that as a profound request once again to our community to consider responsible gun safety measures and laws both here in Arizona and across the nation, because how sad to see in the 50 years that it's a daily occurrence instead of a rare one. Moving on to further highlights. One of the most profound successes for me in my first year was finding Virginia Rodriguez. She had been trained as a victim advocate here, and when I arrived in 21 at the height of COVID and discovered that the Victim Services Director position was empty, I went on a search for the right person to meet the moment in 2021, and got her to return to the Pima County Attorney's Office, where she did the entire first term with me and then some, until she needed to move with her family to Seattle. And I'm so grateful that she gave so much continuity to both our division and to the community during that time. As I mentioned, she's now in Seattle, and so we took our time, because the Director of Victim Services is a very, very difficult job. You have to be a very strong leader in order to manage big emotions and big powerful moments, both of your employees and your volunteers and your community and victims. You have to be a strong leader and manager in that, and you have to do it all with tremendous compassion, right? So we were looking for another unicorn, and I'm very, very pleased to announce at this celebration that we found her. Sara Moody is, I strongly believe, going to step up and meet the moment. Absolutely no pressure. You'll meet her in just a moment. But I'll mention briefly that her background with Easter Seals and the Blake Foundation obviously speaks to all of us. She has statewide experience, and so she can be a manager of a large division. She can continue our grant mining to make all of this work, right? Grant funding. But I will take a personal moment to say that it was her longtime background with Child Protective Services, which became BCS, where she trained to advocate for children suffering harm, where my mother also worked, was a highlight when I got to meet Sara, and we're so pleased to have her join us. With that, I want to thank again CT, Tony, and Chandrea for this treasure trove that has been produced. When we realized it was the 50th anniversary, we went on a hunt of this fascinating, ancient, crumbling 21-story building to find all kinds of fascinating treasures that I hope you'll take a moment to enjoy, and we'll make sure that we get some footage of that. And without warning him, due to some emergencies I had this morning, without warning him, I will tell you that CT will be available to take questions about what he found and some of the historical items that he found, and he's very proud of that. And thank you so much for letting me put you on the spot. With that, I'd love to introduce you officially to Sara Moody, our new Director of Victim Services, with all my gratitude for her joining us in this profound moment, and to say a few words. Sara.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. Thank you. To myself, first and foremost, I want to thank you, Laura and Kimberly, for giving me the opportunity to serve here at Pima County Attorney's Office. I'm really excited. I know that this is the office for the people, and that's how I've served my entire life. To the members, obviously media and community partners and our team, I'm honored to step into this role as Victim Services Director, especially now as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. I'm humbled to be able to serve alongside such a dedicated group of individuals, and I've seen that just in the week alone that I've been here. Not only, I know a lot of people recognize our advocates and our volunteers for the work they do, but also our supervisors and our notification and compensation teams, and of course our advocate assistants. Of course our dogs. Everybody loves our dogs. They are all an essential part of the work that we do for our victims. Over the last 25 years, as Laura stated, my at the Department of Child Safety and within the behavioral health system. I know that how we serve and treat victims must be at the core of our mission to minimize further trauma and to empower and victims to regain control again of their own lives. My mission for the future of victim services is to assess where we can enhance the current supports to our victims and to our staff. I think that's really an important piece too. Increase staff retention, that's going to impact how we can work with victims, and secure additional funding through hopefully some additional grants. Looking at the health plans there. Just as a little side note. And of course that way we can support both victims and staff as we move forward. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. This week has been amazing already. And I look forward to the collaboration that we have with our community so that we can continue to expand on services here at Victim Services.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. I'll conclude by just ticking off a few quick updates. Most importantly, I want to give a heartfelt thank you to every single victim advocate and member of the Victim Services Division throughout the entire 50 years of this history, and to everyone who's gone through our 16-week incredible orientation and training on how to become a crisis volunteer. There are hundreds, if not thousands of you across the community, and I am so grateful, most especially to the veterans who are here, who made it through COVID and stayed and continued to serve. Tammy Sanchez, Michelle Sloan, Carolyn South, I couldn't thank you more, and Tammy and Michelle especially for your leadership during these recent months. We are planning for the future and adapting to the needs we have today. Just as in 1974 and 75, when this got started, they were responding to the needs of the day, and we need to honor the 50-year legacy and continue to look forward. Right now, domestic violence is still in the uptick. It's still in the spike that occurred during COVID, even though all other markers of violent crime have come way, way down. But we have to keep our eye on that ball. We have a new partnership with Emerge, and I am grateful that we are using our general fund, just as Dennis did 50 years ago, to make sure we are meeting the needs, even overnight, of domestic violence survivors and those who have suffered harm, both children and families. And last but not least, again, I want to thank all of you who have committed to helping those who have suffered harm. The Victims' Bill of Rights was extraordinary, and it also defined under law who qualifies as a victim. I have given a lot of thought that moving into the next phase, we must attempt in all ways to meet all of the needs of those who have suffered harm, whether they are defined under the law as a victim or not. It's a tall order, but as Dennis would have told us, be bold, be brave, and go get it. Thank you all again so much.